Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of Dofus, Touch Talk Radio with your host, Challenger EX. Ooh, damn, that sounds fancy. Don't lie, I know you like it. Things are gonna get a little crazy around here, but I'm just having fun making content for you guys. On a serious note though, this is something I've been meaning to do. I actually wanted to launch my channel with talking about the Missive, but obviously I decided to go with the beginner type videos because there's like nothing out there, especially in English. So I thought those were super important to put out first. But here we are with a series I want to start, Dofus Touch Talk Radio, which is going to be more of a podcast type video. Not a whole lot of visuals. It's going to be easier for me to make, with the focus being just talking about subjects regarding the game, Dofus Touch. Just having a conversation around the game and commenting on the state of the game and stuff of that nature. So because I started on the guides, I kind of fell behind on talking about the Missive, which is now about 3 to 4 months old. So I'm just gonna go through it, see what they said, see what they have done so far, and see what's coming up. And like I said, this is gonna be more of a podcast style video, so feel free to tab out. And if you want to follow along, I'm gonna leave a link to the post, to the forum post about the Missive number 14 if you want to follow along. But I'll be reading most of it, and it's just gonna be casual. Most of it's gonna be unscripted. I'm just gonna be sharing my thoughts as I read along. So let's get started. So it starts off by saying, turning the page on 2020. The year 2020 was very eventful. Heck yeah, it was, and not always in a good way. Still, the epidemic isn't an excuse for everything, and we are aware of various aspects that we need to improve on our end. More about that below. All the same, the year did have a few highlights. So here they are bringing up a couple of the small updates they did at the beginning of 2020. Let's check them out. Okay, one the link is broken. That's a great way to start. And the other one they're talking about update 1.46. I'm looking at the link now. Yeah, it was just a bunch of little random things. I think the biggest thing was the Snowbound Village change, where you don't have to clear out the mobs to progress through the quest, which was a great little update. That was a little bit of an annoyance to having to clear those mobs all the time. So they talk about those. On the second bullet point, they talk about the Kanya overhaul and the major in-game economy overhaul. Okay, so this was a pretty big deal. The Kanya update I thought it was pretty cool. It was mainly for like mid-level people, but the content was fun. Like I checked it out. I loved how it tied to the story of the expansion we got called the At the Edges of Time, where that time wizard guy, he opened a huge hole in the sky because he was trying to change the future. So he made a portal to transpose Orgre's tears back into the past, and that ended up flooding Kanya, and it just displaced everybody, and the cemetery got flooded. It was cool. Like when it came to like the lore and the story, they did a very good job. It was kind of like a sequel to that. This was also the update where they changed how the Kralov Slayer works. Instead of having like 18 people sit on tiles, they changed it to so the layers just open at the first week of every month, which is super awesome, super convenient, especially when it comes to the mobile environment, because I would imagine that would be super hard to get all those people coordinated just to open the layer. So that was a super cool change they made. This update also came with some class changes. This is where they changed the Osa. The Chance Osa has a little bit shorter range, which I remember people being angry about it. But they're still OP class. So yeah, Kanya overhaul. I guess a thumbs up for me. So the other big thing they did was obviously the in-game economy shakeup. I have mixed feelings about it. I thought it was cool because after 3 years, the server economy kind of goes stale, so this is something they had to do. On the other hand, some of the recipes, it just got crazy hard. Like, for example, like something I had to deal with is getting the cyborg Beworker bolts, which those are a huge pain because when you run the Beworker dungeon, you only fight like one or two of the cyborg Beworker guys. On top of those bolts not dropping easily. So when I was doing runs, I would drop like one, two, three maybe per run. And some of these crafts require like 40 or 50 of them. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan in that regard. But the shakeup as a whole was a good thing for the server, I think, in the end. So moving on, they also bring up an update they did in September, which is, here, let me click on the link really quick. Update 1.48, which is the kind of prologue to the Pandala Awakens update, which was super cool. I enjoyed this update. This is the one where you did the Pandala was still the old version, but you went through the quest line and you got the pink shield, the pink blossom shield. No, that was a cool little update they had in September, which led up to the Pandala overhaul with the big Pandala Awakens, which I think they did a fantastic job with that. The visuals were like spot on. I enjoyed the storyline, the quest line for it. The mobs were super fun and they ranged from like mid tier to high end, and they weren't annoying to fight. They found a nice little balance where they weren't easy, they weren't pushovers, but they weren't like freegas annoying or hard. It's they did a fantastic job. I have to give them props for that. The calligraphy thing was it was neat. It was a nice little gimmick they added, especially since it's a touch device and you're drawing, and it's in line with the whole inking on paper, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Even though it didn't work 100% of the time, I remember when I was running the quest line at the very end, you have to draw the wind symbol, and I cannot draw that thing for the life of me. Like I tried it like probably 100 times. Like I wanted it to work, but in the end, I couldn't do it. And the developers knew this was hard too, which is funny because they give you an option to either draw the symbol or to put feathers and an altar to progress the quest. So that's what I end up doing because I could not get that wind symbol to work. But it was cool, like A plus for the Pandala Wix. And what's cool about it too is it was so different from the PC version. I was under the impression that they were just gonna rehash the same stuff they did on PC and they're just gonna port it over. But no, like it's completely different. Like the layout and the maps is different from PC and mobile. The mobs are different. They have different behaviors, different attacks. Even the dungeon mechanics are way different between the two versions. And I want to say probably even the story. So big props to the team. They knocked it out of the park with this. So back to reading the post. The number of players in-game has remained good and went up with various stay-at-home orders. Yep, it sure did. I remember that summer 2020. As you likely noticed with the various technical issues encountered during the first. I'm not exactly sure what they want to say there, but yeah, I remember that. Stay-at-home orders happened. Even the PC Dofus was having connection issues. And this on top of Brutus getting filled and everybody going to Grandapan. So I'm glad they acknowledged it. It continues. We would like to thank all the players who support the game every day once again. Oh, well, thank you. It's a pretty good game. For those who haven't skipped over the first part of the missive, now it's time to talk about 2021. Finally, let's get to the good stuff. So it starts off by saying, back to the basics. Forward. The project hasn't been on top of its game in 2020, and we weren't going to give you a laundry list of excuses. We had started discussing this subject in an article published for the game's anniversary in September. I don't remember that article, but let's keep going. And we've taken the time to examine things properly between then and now. The problems with iOS, bots, and some aspects of how we communicate are notably things we want to improve, among other things. I feel like they've been having this communication problem for a while now. We will do what it takes to fix things, but before that, we want to apologize for all these issues. Well, I mean, it's a good thing they know communication. They could definitely do something better about it. I guess this missive is a step in the right direction. This year, the production team will be reinforced. The hiring process has already started for server development, client development, and even game design. We weren't looking for a magic bullet that would fix everything overnight, but rather invest in the long term. Because yes, we still believe strongly in Dofus Touch. This right here, this is a good sign. This is pretty much saying that the game is doing well. It's doing well enough to invest in it, to keep investing, hiring people. Hiring people is not cheap. And yeah, I mean, this is a great thing to hear. That they're expanding pretty much. Next, infrastructure. Without revealing the backstage plans in detail, and always with the idea of investing in the long term, we know that this year we want to be investing in adjusting the game infrastructure and certain tools. While these changes won't be visible to you, you want to touch on the subject because the changes will let us maintain and grow the project in the best possible conditions. This is also why new developers are going to be hired. We will be offering new content this year, as you'll see below. Okay, so this little tidbit is interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to put Dofus Touch on Unity as well. I mean, the reason why I'm questioning it is because they're doing the same thing for Dofus on PC. So them saying they're hiring new developers could mean they're hiring developers for Unity, which is the software or the engine they want to use. So that's food for thought. Oh, also another thing that popped into my head. I guess in Unity they could probably make a client for PC. I know a lot of like mobile games have crossplay. They're on mobile and they're on PC. So maybe they're trying to do that. That would be pretty cool. But let's move on. Bugs. Some iOS problems are still active issues, and they will be our priority in the coming weeks. Others will also be corrected during the year, and the time has already been scheduled for them. As you are aware, there are still some issues related to Christmas Island and the revamped Pandala. Oh, okay, so this is talking about how people couldn't do the Christmas quest because the goblin, the Street Fighter goblin you're supposed to talk to, wasn't at the new Pandala dojo. So this is talking about that, and yeah, they're having trouble with the infrastructure. So I'm guessing that took a while because that took them like three weeks. I feel maybe a month to fix. Oh, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, but I feel like because it was the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, a lot of these guys were probably on vacation, on winter break. So I think there was some delay regarding that. But they did eventually fix that, so they did good on their promise. Next little section is the status of Grandapan, Dodge, and Brutus shop. And this goes over, I'm not going to talk too much about this. This talks about how the shop buying stuff with commas was broken. But it wasn't broken. I think they turned it off because they had a big security issue with in regards to like the South American countries. It says here that there was a lot of fraudulent purchases, I'm guessing hacking maybe. But this was more of an issue for the Spanish speaking community, so I won't go over it too much. But I think a lot of it did get worked out. But let's move on. Next section is about bots. Ooh, okay, bots. Bots is an interesting subject, but let's read. Bots are still a huge hindrance for the project, as they are for you, our players. Certain developments are already underway on this issue, and, once again, time has been set aside throughout the year to tackle it. I'm glad they're acknowledging bots. Bots is they're a huge problem. A lot of people think bots are good because they lower the price of things, but in the end, it hurts the game. And that's something I want to make a Dofus Touch Talk video about, just talking about the ins and outs of bots, why there's bots, who makes the bots, just go in depth about bots. And that's something I'm doing research right now too, just understanding bots. So I do have a video about bots in the works, but let's keep going. In addition to this, a new game moderator recruitment campaign will be launched early in the year. We'd also like to thank all our current moderators. Okay, so they did make a post about this. Not too long ago, they made a post on March the 12th about recruiting helpers. And I have mixed feelings about this. I feel they should just pay. Just treat this like another position, like hiring a developer. Just like hire somebody to keep an eye on the server, make sure it's running smooth, make sure it's clean of bots. Overall, I just think this is something they should take upon themselves. I mean, they're asking for a lot for a community. Here, let's read the post on the community helper profile. They want somebody who knows the game basics, knows the procedures of bug reporting, bots reporting. I don't know about y'all, but that sounds like work to me. And yeah, so they just want volunteers. But let's go back to the post. Let's go back to the bot section. We understand that we have been repeating all these several times and that you may be wondering. However, actions have been and still are being taken at Ankama's level. We just regret that they are not more visible on your side now. To give you an example, massive bans have been carried out by our team for over a month, several times a week. Added to this are the actions of our moderators. While this can slow some down and lighten the load on the servers, we are aware that this is not enough since bots always come back. Our next project mentioned above therefore consists of blocking them in a concrete way. Yeah, I don't know if this is the right solution on having more moderators, because bots. Okay, so let's talk about bots for a little bit. Bots are automated programs, so if one gets banned, another one's gonna take its place. I think the biggest issue they have right now is that it is so easy to create an account on Dofus Touch. They have this whole system where like, oh, I'm a new player, I just found out this game, and I don't have to make an account. I just hit play and I'm right in the game, which is cool and everything. But the game is like 3 years old already. Like, how many people are really discovering this through the App Store and it's like, oh, I'm gonna check this out? I don't think a whole lot. But I think that's where the issue lies. Where like, if you're somebody who's making bots, if one gets banned, you can make another bot so easily, just with a click of a button, and you're back in the game. I think they should have something where like, yeah, you can maybe start off with the guest account, but maybe after like 2 or 3 hours, if you're enjoying the game, just make an account, register an email address. That way, it's another hurdle for the bot makers as well, because now they have to come up with unique emails for all these accounts. And for the player, they only have to do this once. If they're a legit player, just register your information, register your email account, and you're done. And off you go. Or maybe just putting limitations on the guest account. When you are in the guest account mode, there's probably things you can't do, and that's an incentive to register your information. But let's move on. Communication. In 2020, we did not want to provide much advanced communication on upcoming projects as to avoid disappointing you if any of them needed to be canceled. Alright, well this is the problem then. Because this is meaning they're not hitting their deadlines. It could be because of the whole pandemic thing, but yeah. The decision gave the impression that we'd abandon you, and we apologize for that. We hope that the missive will be a step in the right direction towards giving you more transparency by presenting the project and plans that are most likely to become reality. We also want to take a closer look at certain other aspects that may seem anecdotal but are important to many of you, such as no longer making changes at the end of the beta without announcing them. I guess they did that. To players, announcing with date. The release of a beta or major update in advance so that you have time to prepare and more. Alright. New content. Even with all that, we won't be ignoring new content. Here's a glimpse at what's coming up in 2021. Okay, so this is a good part right here. Pandala new chapters. We want to continue the narrative arc surrounding the new Pandala. No surprise there. Since our team doesn't want to do anything by halves for the rest of this overhaul, it should spread out over several updates. Okay, so yeah, it was pretty obvious that they were going to continue the Pandala Awakens. If you guys done the Pandala quest line, the new one. You guys know it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. I won't say too much about it because you guys should definitely run the quest line if you haven't already. Plus the Dofus you get at the end, the Domakuro. I think it's an amazing Dofus. It's become a staple with my characters. It's amazing if you have a hybrid character and a hybrid crit build character. But it's pretty much like having another Ice Dofus like half the time. I love it. But going back in regards to the Pandala expansions, on the PC side they got the Dorigami Dofus, which is the one related to the white paper dragon, and they even have the black spotted Dofus, which is related to the union of the two dragons. So there's still a lot of content we're missing. So I'm super excited to see that version on touch, especially what they do with the Dofus too, because the Domakuro on PC gives summons, and on touch it gives plus critical damage. And from what we've seen from the Pandala updates, they want to make both of the content unique. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The next section they have is class overhauls and balancing. Like, this sounds like a huge thing they're doing, and they barely write anything about it. This is what they say. While there weren't any class balancing or overhauls in 2020, you can expect movement here in 2021. Several classes will be affected, and we'll reveal more about this as the year progresses. As usual, we'll be asking the community participation in these changes with a beta that will stay open for approximately 1 month. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about this. I mean, they're pretty vague about class overhauls and balancing. I think it could definitely spice things up. I think for the most part, a lot of the classes have been unchanged since Touch launched. I know the Osamotus has been through a big change, so hopefully this is something good. But yeah, there isn't much to comment on it, so let's move on. Next section here they have is dopples and trophies. First, we want to complete the work on dopples. Okay, and they have a link. So this is in regards to they want to overhaul dopples, pretty much, or I don't know if they want to replace them. Dopples, for the most part, are pretty useless. Here's the thing. Like, you get the doppel at level 200. You're at endgame content, and you get this little summon at level 200. Like, this is your reward for reaching the maximum level. You get this like dinky little summon that almost always gets one shotted. If it were up to me, I'd rather they just give us another AP when we reach level 200. Like, I don't know why they make it so hard to be 12 AP, 6 MP. But doppels, that could be a little Dofus Touch Talk Radio subject. But in addition to doppels, they also talk about the subject of trophies. And they have a link to a page where they talk about some of the trophies available on PC, and they kind of want to bring them over to Touch. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, my gripe with this is that the game is called Dofus Touch, not Trophies Touch. So I would like them to put an emphasis, on a Dofus, the main theme the game revolves around. I'm gonna go into a little bit of a rant here because, like, the logo of the game is the Emerald Dofus, and as you play the game, you will probably never see an Emerald Dofus here on Touch. I know on PC you could quest for it, but not here. On here, a lot of the Dofus, you still drop them from enemies, and it's pure luck that you get one, or you have money to buy one. But the game is called Dofus. Like, it's about these dragon eggs, and they're the backbone of the storyline. This is why the game exists. Yet there's almost little to no emphasis on them on the game. This is like playing. On top of that, the Emerald Dofus is pretty lame. Like, it's this powerful object, and when it comes to lore and the story, it has the potential to give you 100 extra HP. Like, there's a trophy that pretty much does the same job as this ultra powerful Dofus. Like, come on, man, step up your Dofus game. It frustrates me because it's like the poster child. It's like, it's in the logo. The Emerald Dofus is in the logo, and it's this useless thing that you'll never get or see. I know on PC it gives you like 200 HP. Like, 200 HP, that makes a big difference. But on top of that, it gives you shields if you have enemies around you. So there's some use for it. And I know here on Touch, they like to remix stuff. So maybe the Emerald Dofus on Touch gives you like a regen type of thing. Like every time it's your turn, you regen 5% of your health or something to do with health. Apparently that's the theme of the Emerald Dofus. But that's just a random idea. So, but let's move on. Get for nothing, Dofus. Like the beginning of the game, it's like, yeah, man, you're like a Dofus hunter. You have to get the Dofus. It's so cool, man. Go get him. It's gonna make you the most powerful thing in the cosmos, in the universe. Nah, you got 100 extra HP. Alright, let's move on for reals now. Let's see. Trophies. It isn't necessarily a question of adding dozens of new trophies, but rather reopening the discussion of validating changes if they are positive for the game for existing trophies and possible new trophies to add. Yeah, so on PC, I know they have AP, MP trophies, I think, where the condition is you need to have 2 items or less of a certain set to use them, which could help with the whole getting to 12.6, but we'll see. Again, the game is called Dofus Touch, not Trophy Touch. Here in this next section, they talk about PvP tournaments. I'm not a PvP guy. Even though I do enjoy multiplayer games, I have a big background in fighting games and trading card games. So I'm definitely a competitive person. But when it comes to Dofus and PvP, I'm not a. It doesn't appeal to me. I have my own reasons, and I could talk about that in a different video. But yeah, PvP and Dofus doesn't really appeal to me. But they're talking about having automated tournament setups. Sounds pretty cool. Yeah, but they don't really go into a lot of detail. But let's move on. Is that all? Of course not. We have other surprises in store for you with, notably, the traditional major update at the end of the year. One big update every year sounds kind of lame. I feel like they should have at least 2 just to keep people engaged. But like, yeah, waiting a whole year just for like a big major update, that's a long wait. I wonder how many major updates PC Dofus gets throughout the year. That would be interesting to check out. But then again, I don't know how big the game is or what kind of numbers it's pulling in to justify doing updates more than once a year. But yeah, I feel like there should be more at least. Like if you think about it, like the next half of Pandala Awakens would have been that major update this year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. But let's keep reading. Certain aspects of the game will be improved to make your everyday gaming experience more enjoyable. Okay, that's pretty generic. For all this content and these changes, the pace will be 1 update every 3 months on average. Between updates, some fixes may be rolled out during weekly maintenance. Oh, okay, so it looks like they're dropping the ball already. It's been close to 4 months since the Pandala Awakens update, which I think it released in December, early December, mid-December, somewhere around there. And we haven't heard anything about the follow-up at all. So yeah, they're kind of messing up with that 3 months on average thing. Also, this brings up another issue too, where like they don't really hype their stuff up. If anything, we should have been getting like previews or like snippets, sneak peeks of like art of the new area, or even just stuff they're working on, just like at least something, just to keep the hype running. But yeah, there's been nothing. And like I mentioned before, like I have one of my other hobbies is TCGs, and with trading card games, those companies, they release an expansion every 3 months. Every 3 months you're getting new cards, new content. But in between those 3 months, you're getting previews and content just to keep you hyped so you could check out this stuff when it comes out. Like, here's this cool thing we're working on. We can't wait till it releases. So it's a little ironic that this missive is about communication and right after that, it's just dead silence. It goes on. Volcania, Alhawen, and Quismas will be joining in the fun in 2021 as usual. There will also be new equipment to earn from Ascension Island, and as part of the new content. Okay, so that brings up another point too. I forgot to mention. Yeah, I mean the seasonal stuff is pretty standard stuff, but the new equipment, that I did have a little gripe with because they all gave MP bonuses. Like come on, really? All of them MP bonuses, and even like the one you craft in Ascension, the fugitive set, the one that looks like it's a really cool looking set, but it gives MP. Like characters don't have an MP problem because we have our mounts give MP. It's hard to get 12 AP without. I don't. It was a missed opportunity. I feel like, and again, I don't know why they're making it so hard to be 12 AP, 6 MP. Like this should be like the standard, and especially in PvP, like having extra AP and MP, that's a huge advantage over somebody who doesn't because they don't have the resources or the time to exomate some stuff. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't like PvP. Your advantage is very heavy on the equipment. But let's not go down the rabbit hole. Alright, let's go on. When it comes to events, we're planning a maxi dungeon rusher. Okay, so yeah, they did this and it was cool. Especially people who weren't playing the game at all when they ran these events initially. So it was a great way to catch up on some cool shields. The Game Masters will also have events and surprises for you several times throughout the year. And we thank them too for everything they do. Okay, so yeah, recently we had the Nabala Dachi Frutas event, which was interesting. I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of the fun came from just being on Discord and, bouncing ideas on how to solve the clues and the puzzles and kind of feeling like you're advancing together. You're working as a goal as a community together. Like that was the best part of the thing. Okay, and this is more like a side note. So I did make a video on a walkthrough on this event, and to my surprise, it dawned on me that I thought Discord was where a lot of people were, but no, a lot of people are not on Discord at all. Like that video has gotten so many views. It's like I had no idea like there was even that many people playing Touch. And this is where my problem with the event comes, where the event was very heavy on experienced players, which, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but like you need some sort of knowledge in the lore, specifically have done the Oredo questline. Otherwise, you would have no clue on how this works or how you progress in it. So in the end, it wasn't something that anybody could just jump in and do it and participate. On top of that, the whole quest thing was bugged when it first released, so it was a little bit of a mess. But overall, it was a step in the right direction, to get some community hype, some community involvement. So in a way, they did deliver in that aspect of their post, and that overall wraps up their post. It was interesting. I'm left feeling like they didn't say a whole lot that we didn't already know. Like their big thing is Pandala, continuing the Pandala Awakening storyline and their updates. We know that was coming in December, so that was nothing really new in regards to this Missive post. I definitely do feel like Dofus Touch is in a good place in 2021. The fact that they're hiring people, that's a huge plus. Whenever money gets pumped into something, it's because it's doing what it's supposed to do. Money talks. So that was my biggest takeaway. I still think they gotta work on the communication issue. They gotta engage the community. They gotta keep us hyped. They gotta keep us excited for their game. And I think that's what's missing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how Marvel does their thing when they announce their movies. Like they release a whole timeline of like what's coming up, like within like 2 years. Like this movie's coming up summer, this movie's for spring, and this is gonna be a TV show here, and Spider-Man 15 is gonna come out here, and just showing those logos and having a timeline like that keeps those people hype and just keep them looking forward to when it actually releases. Like the event, for example, that just came out of left field, literally. Like in the morning they announced it. Like I just checked Twitter. It's like, hey, there's a new event. I'm like, oh snap. Again, no hype, no build up, no hype, no build up, no hype, no build up. All right, so let's bring this to a close. So as I'm putting this video together, they just released an Ankama Not Life number 9, which is their little news videos they do. And they have a little snippet, like literally just a minute and a half of Dofus Touch news. And they pretty much said nothing. They literally just recapped the Missive posts that we've been talking about this whole time. They did mention that they were looking at the any class, specifically for the class overhaul. And they want the any to be more viable in different elemental builds. But that was pretty much the extent of new news they gave. So yeah, we are still pretty much in the dark. I was thinking that we're finally going to drop some news bombs and I would have to redo this whole video, but nope. But I guess on the plus side, they're working on this stuff. I guess that's a plus at least. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast type format. It's definitely easier on me with the no editing part. But let me hear your thoughts about Dofus in 2021. Let me hear your thoughts about what they said. Let me know what you're looking forward to. I don't know how often I'll do these podcast videos, but whenever there's any like kind of major type of posts or news, I'll probably make one, since it's not a whole lot of work to put one of these together. Don't forget to leave a like if you like the video, and hit the subscribe button for more English Dofus Touch content. Until next time, this is Challenger EX. This was pretty cool, right? Freaking Dofus Touch podcast, like who would have thought?